Welcome everybody, welcome back to Flight Path. My name is Simon and we're in the Huey today, and we are over the town of Saint-Lambert, which is just to the east of the Battle of Waterloo, around about halfway between Wavre and Mont Saint-Jean. So we're essentially here, Lasnay Chapelle Saint-Lambert, and we've been following Bulow's corps, and Loslan, who's the lead brigade, had got to this location at around about 9 o'clock in the morning, and was forming up his brigade and starting to send battalions up onto the ridge or the plateau of the battlefield. Now, Wellington has seen these patrols arriving at. This is around about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then by probably around about midday, Lawson's brigade is formed up and has moved up onto the edge of the battlefield site on the edge of the Paris Wood. Bulow's corps is arriving. We then have Hilaire. He arrives as well, and Wellington. This means that Bulow, by the way, is essentially got his corps to this area here, and it's taken him around about 6 hours to do this. Hillier moves up to this area around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and Rissel arrives at around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he's the sort of the rear guard of the corps. So it's 6 hours, basically, essentially, that he's got, and he's arrived in this area here. Wellington has been liaising with these people over the course of the morning. They're told, now Wellington is over here on this ridge over here, and he's told essentially that the Prussians will be impacting the battlefield around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon at this rate. And so he now knows that he's got to stand in defense of this ridge essentially for around about 5 hours if he stands a chance to be victorious. So we're talking possibly around about just at the beginning of the battlefield, the battle that these troops are becoming can be seen, which means at the beginning of the battle, when Napoleon starts the attack on Hougoumont, he is aware of troops on his right flank, and it's reported that when he's over here, we'll just go over to where he would have been, which is essentially the farmhouse of Rossom, which is around about here. So we'll just head there. It's reports that there's a body of troops seen in the distance at around about 9 kilometers away on the heights of Saint-Lambert. Now, those are probably the troops of Loslin's brigade popping out of the woods. So we'll see what how much that would have been true. So this is the time when messages are passed on to Grouchy about him interdicting the Prussians on the right-hand side. At the same time, a Prussian courier is captured, and he was carrying the message to say that Bulow was intending to capture or attack Napoleon's right flank. Right, so we're here now. We're here now at Rossomme, essentially. Down below us here is Rossomme Farm. This would have been Napoleon's sort of headquarters on the day. Now, not necessarily, these trees are not necessarily here. Now, the heights of Saint-Lambert is essentially, you can see over there in the distance. And so somewhere around here then, either he sees it or someone sees it for him. Essentially, you could imagine that someone's here. And they can see, when they're talking about the heights of Saint-Lambert, they're talking about that sort of yellow hill here over this side. So this is where Prussians are seen coming out of the woods. And this is essentially around about midday. And the message is going off to Grouchy saying, like, okay, we've now learned that the Prussians are going to try to attack Napoleon's right flank. And a postscript is added to the orders to Grouchy to say for him to move to join Napoleon in order to prevent the Prussians from affecting the battlefield. Now that would mean that Grouchy would have to come over this way. It's essentially coming through, attacking the flank here, and Grouchy, of course, is all the way back this way. So he would have to come all the way through these places here. But Grouchy was in the morning. He was back here at a place called Walheim. I can't see it. It's around here somewhere. Yeah, this is it. This is where he was. He was here, essentially, in the morning. And he was following the Prussians up this road here. Now remember, he's attacking the rear of Bulow's corps, essentially in the morning, which was in this area here. So he was coming up this way, and so what Napoleon was trying to do is to get him to move across here. But of course, by the time the order arrives, he's already engaging the rear guard of some of Bulow's corps, and then essentially he's coming in and attacking Thielmann's third corps here. So it would have been obvious probably to Napoleon at this point that there was no way that Grouchy would stop at least Bulow's corps getting onto the battlefield. So it does mean that his right flank will become threatened. The first orders start to occur to send back here in reserve, by the way, is the Imperial Guard, and there's also Lebau's corps, and Lebau's corps is the first troops to be essentially sent across over here to face the Prussians. He has 2 divisions of cavalry under Suburvi and Dommer. They move towards the Paris Wood, and 2 divisions of infantry under Zimmer and Jenin. They followed shortly afterwards. So he starts moving his, essentially his beginning of his reserve in the direction of the wood. Let's just fly over there. So this is the Bois de Paris here. This is the area where the Prussians will come out of the wood. So this is Bulow's corps. But Blücher has actually promised Wellington 3 corps, and the second corps, which is also the first corps to arrive or to get here, is Zieten's corps. They take a slightly different route. On the at midnight, he receives his orders from Blücher, and he's instructed to cook breakfast and be prepared to move off after having eaten. And this is the first hot food that his troops have had during the campaign, which began on the 15th. And they are waiting in the morning, essentially for the Bulow to pass through, and they were cleaning their muskets and replenishing their ammunition. They've been fighting essentially now for 3 days, and their corps, you could argue, had done more than any other corps of the whole Allied army in denying the French a victory. Pirch's corps as well followed Bulow's corps, and Zieten took a different route. He was moving further north, and his essentially was tasked with meeting up with Wellington's left flank. And what we essentially get here is, because Pirch is moving his corps at the same time, there's a he crosses path. Zieten's corps crosses paths with Pirch's corps, and because Pirch is trying to wait for Bulow's corps to move ahead, it essentially means that Zieten's corps has to pass through Pirch's corps, so that causes a delay. And so they're starting off from here, but they will take a different route. As I say, they're moving on the Froidmont Road, which is essentially, if we just swing back here now, this is the area here where Zieten was. He has to move his corps through elements of Pirch's corps. It's going down this road here, but he will head essentially further north. Let me just pause here and we'll just get the map out so we can see his route clearer. So from from what I know, it's Freudmann is here, just near Rixensart. So he's moving from Biège to Rixensart, but he's having to pass, essentially cross through Pirch, who's coming from north of Wavre towards Le Mans. So Pirch is following Bulow, and Zieten is moving towards... essentially he's moving towards this place called Rixensart. It's actually called Freudmont here. And then he'll move to Orhain, and he'll try to come out essentially on this the Orhain road onto the ridge there at Waterloo. So let's follow his path then. So essentially he's moving a little bit further to the north. He's not going to Le Mans, which is down here. He's coming up this way. And essentially he's coming across in this direction here. His the delays that happen means that his vanguard is reaching this the edge of the battlefield before his even his rear guard has moved off. So his rear guard spends most of the time back at Biège, and his vanguard starts to arrive, and essentially must be coming through this direction here. So we can see the town of Waterloo now on the right, just there where the dot is. So he's coming through this direction here. And approaches through, it's called the essentially the valley of the Smohainbrook. I wonder if they mean this this valley here. Now Zieten realizes that when he gets there, he essentially is going to be there's no real time for him to form up and assemble his corps. He's literally going to, as essentially each battalion arrives, he's going to have to commit them to the battle. So he's going to be committing these his troops onto this battle in divisions and not as a one coherent corps. So, as you can see, the route he's taken is a lot similar in terms of terrain, valleys, trees, swollen brooks, swampy land, mud chutes. All that sort of stuff is not as easy as the plain of the battlefield itself, as we can see in the distance there. And the soil is this sort of heavy lime, sort of clingy, cloggy mud. Now, when he says the brook of the Smohain, we're looking then at them approaching essentially from this direction here. This is the This is the ridge of Mont Saint-Jean coming up. So let's just pause here. We'll jump out here and see if we can identify this I mean, it could be this valley behind here, but I think it's more likely to be essentially this is the valley here. This is the valley of the Smohain here. So they're coming along this route here. So we're slightly a little bit too north. And they will come out essentially at Fichemont and La Haye and Papelotte. So they're in this sort of direction here. Possibly even coming along this road on that ridge. The description is via Arhain in the valley of the Smohain Brook, and the brook ran from the Papelotte farm. So we're probably talking this area here, actually. But so they're sort of coming from maybe this road, this track, all the way down here. Somehow this seems maybe the direction that they came from. So we're flying a little bit to the north. Let's just correct that a bit. Let's just try going left a bit. So we're talking about the First Corps of the Prussians. They're essentially arriving a little bit later. They're kind of arriving. Bulow's corps will be coming out of the woods over here. They're tasked with attacking the right flank of Napoleon. And we're talking about Zieten's corps now, who are entering the battlefield in this sort of area here. And essentially they're tasked with joining up with Wellington on this ridge just here, following this road here. This is the Arhain road below us now. And this is known as the sort of it's a sunken road. It's kind of the main line of Wellington's position. So this is where Zieten's corps will be trying to move in, and this is why Wellington can move his resources from this flank later in the afternoon. After the French infantry attacks, he can pull his troops back to his central position, which is essentially from this road onwards here. Because Zieten's starting to arrive on his left flank. Okay, that's a good point to take a quick break. And so do the usual thing by saying thank you for watching this bit. If you liked it, then please follow, subscribe, love, hug, all that, whatever you've got to do these days for algorithms' sake, for God's sake. And I will be back in a couple of minutes. And we'll continue the story of Bulow's corps coming out of these woods over here. And attacking this village, which is known as Plasnois, which is on the right-hand flank of the French. And we'll be able to see then the impact that has on the whole battlefield. Okay, so I will see you in a moment.